Managing stakeholders in general is difficult. That's
Hmm.
for everybody, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think things that are important to do are making sure that, outside of projects or during projects, that you're cultivating relationships with those people. Like I said, like understanding how they work and what's important to them and like how they make decisions. Is important so that when you have a differing opinion, you know how to, what angle to come at it
Hmm.
from,
Hmm.
for them to understand.
Welcome to Peer-to-Peer's Spotlight Series. Spotlight Series is a platform for hiring managers, referrers, and candidates to showcase their talents and opportunities within the startup ecosystem. In this episode, we're thrilled to showcase Ashlee Perry. This is an exceptionally special episode as Ashlee and I crossed paths at Opendoor, where I had the privilege of collaborating with her. She is an outstanding product designer, characterized by both empathy and an unwavering commitment to excellence in her craft. Tune in to hear about her journey transitioning from psychology to design, valuable insights gained from her time at Opendoor and Uber, her firsthand experiences navigating growth within high-growth startups, and aptly managing stakeholders. Additionally, Ashlee shares invaluable advice on navigating the current job market and delves into her passion for freelancing, particularly in product and interior design projects. If you're interested in collaborating with Ashlee, please use the Ask for Intro icon on her profile page. If you're looking to be featured on Spotlight or know someone who would benefit from our service, please reach out to us at intro@peertopeer.app. All the information is included in the description below. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Welcome, Ashlee. Thank you so much for doing this, and we're very happy to have you here on Spotlight Series with Peer to Peer. Why don't we start off by you telling us a bit about yourself?
I'm a product designer. I have been for a little over 8 years, probably close to 9 at this point. Um, I had an interesting path into product design, but I grew up in Colorado and I went to college for psychology in Florida back in the day.
Hmm.
But when I graduated in 2008, I didn't really have any prospects of what I wanted to do with a psychology degree. So I meandered a bit until I found a company in Colorado that they needed admin work, but part of that was creating coupons for them. So I I've always been creative and I could use Photoshop. So I made coupons for them and eventually taught myself graphic design. Um, and then around that time was introduced to the idea of user experience design, which kind of married psychology with my creative side. And so found my path to that. Since then, I went to a year-long product design program in Boulder. And then from there, got a job at Uber and then Opendoor. And things I like to do are going outside, hanging out with my dog, and,
Nice.
still being creative and traveling, all the things.
Yeah, that's really awesome to hear. How did you, I guess, for those who are kind of looking to get into product design, I know it's a tough market right now. But how did you kind of like make that transition from, designing coupons at a company and then, getting into Uber?
This was like 10 years ago at this point, but
Mhm.
the program that I went through still exists. It's just called something different. But essentially, I was introduced to this program, like through a friend of a friend. She had gone through it and gotten a job at Pinterest right afterwards.
Nice.
So I decided, hey, I should look into that. It seems to be teaching people like the things that I would like to learn.
Hmm.
And I went and spoke with them, learned that it was basically taught by industry professionals. So people would like do their day job and then they would come and teach like later in the day for
Hmm.
us. And then because the program kind of like uh, the people who were leaving the program got like decent jobs, it kind of attracted those programs to come
Mm-hmm.
and check out the talent and do design sprints with us. And so
Nice.
one of those design sprints was with an Uber hiring manager.
Mm.
Um, and I made sure to talk to him. I when I was talking to him and like getting his feedback, I had no intention of asking for a job. I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
way out of, the purview of what would happen for me, but he ended up asking me to apply and I got the
Nice.
job. But yeah, I
That's
would say
awesome.
like looking for um looking for people who are doing the same things that you want to do, and seeing how they got there. And, of course, looking for a program that could help, but I would say make sure that the people leaving that program are getting hired and
Mm-hmm.
how long it's taking them to get hired and where they're going, of course.
Are there certain, I guess, experiences that you like to highlight from Uber and Opendoor that you think kind of made you who you are today as a designer?
Yeah, I think obviously starting at Uber is probably what started shaping me as a
Mm-hmm.
designer. I was lucky enough to join on the rider growth team at a time when Uber was growing a lot. So I got to work on cool projects and I got to work with really talented people. Um, you know, we're at the like cutting edge moment for Uber and I learned a lot very quickly. And of course, being on a growth team um, can be interesting, up and
Mm-hmm.
down, but it's depending on like where you are or where the company is in their growth period. It can be a really exciting place to be, and you can have a lot of impact there. But I would say like working with the people that I worked with, I really was able to learn the product design process and how to implement it in your work.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like something that I just got really ingrained in me and took that with me, obviously through the rest of Uber, but also to Opendoor as well. Um, I would say working at Uber, I got to learn a lot quickly because there was so many customers every
Mm-hmm.
day, every moment of the
Mm-hmm.
day.
Mm-hmm.
It was really easy to like learn from your products. At Opendoor, it was very different. The
Yeah.
volume was definitely very different. But still learned a lot in a very different environment with a very different product. So did a lot of growth there as well in terms of the projects. But of course,
Mm-hmm.
um my skills also got to grow a lot as well there. It was more like a refining of my skills.
In terms of your experience at Opendoor, are there like certain things that maybe differ from Uber that, is good or bad that, comes to mind or helps shape you as you kind of keep growing?
Volume was a lot lower. It's because, when people are selling their home, it's not something they do very frequently. And of course, it's a very large transaction. So
Yeah.
they have to think through it thoroughly. So it's basically like the customers who transact with us really, spend their time thinking about whether or not this is the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of designing, a lot of the times you have to make sure that the things that we're going to put in front of customers, we want to feel fairly confident in. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot more like upfront research or understanding of how these products are going to um, resonate with the customers. So I got to like talk to customers a lot more uh, one-on-one, which was great.
You worked on quite a few projects, right, at Opendoor?
Yes, I was there for almost 5 years, so got to work on a lot of different things.
Yeah. I think some of them are what I think you've been on the seller team.
I was
Uh,
on seller, I was on seller growth. I also did like consumer growth in general, so trying to get sellers to become buyers,
mhm,
the buyer growth. Also worked on the core product and because, real estate is such a crazy market right now,
mhm,
Um, there was a lot of initiatives to try to figure out what are new selling products that we could be offering customers, because the main selling product didn't always resonate with them. So helping out on discovering other selling product opportunities as well, but mainly consumer products.
And I guess as you kind of step away from too high scale, high growth type of startups, what would you say is I guess, what type of person do you have to be in order to be able to grow and gain influence at these type of places?
You need to be able to like feel confident in your opinions and, have the knowledge and, artifacts to back that up. Making sure that you do what you can to like make sure your voice is heard. Obvious at Uber was a little different in that like you really needed to be able to use your voice to make yourself heard.
Hmm.
Whereas I feel like at Opendoor it probably wasn't as cutthroat in that way, but still being able to like create relationships with people that you're working with, understanding how they work, what's important to them, what's important to the business. And of course, like as a user experience designer, having, uh, solid empathy for your customers. And that is your job to
Mm-hmm.
really advocate for the customer and of course keep the business in mind. But that is, what products designers do. They're here to advocate for the customer. So making sure that you are that person for your customers when you're in a
Yeah,
room with people.
absolutely. I was wondering, I guess, like in your um experience of navigating stakeholders and sort of gaining their trust, were there like certain challenges that you sort of encounter in this process, and how did you manage those?
I mean, managing stakeholders in general is difficult. That's
Hmm.
for everybody, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think things that are important to do are making sure that, outside of projects or during projects, that you're cultivating relationships with those people. Like I said, like understanding how they work and what's important to them and like how they make decisions. Is important so that
Hmm.
when you have a differing opinion, you know what angle to come at it
Hmm.
from,
Hmm.
for them to understand. And also like as a designer, you have the superpower of being able to like bring ideas to life. So
Yeah.
of course, whenever you can, um, bring those visual artifacts to any conversation you're having with stakeholders to back up your opinion.
Yeah.
And of course, and of data and research if you're capable. But
Hmm. Yeah, that's really good feedback. Um, I was wondering, I guess, as you kind of navigate to your next opportunity, what was your approach?
my approach in the beginning was basically just to let people I was talking to, like casually chatting with, or, scanning LinkedIn to see like what people are talking about in terms of like their companies and what they're looking for and things. But basically just letting my network know that I'm looking.
Yeah.
I was I took a break for like 5, 6 months.
Hmm.
So I wasn't really looking during that time. Working on my own things.
Hmm.
So when I felt ready, it was kind of like I had to put it out there that I was looking.
Yeah.
Of course, getting a job through your network is probably one of the best ways to do it, just because you've worked with them before and they can
Hmm.
advocate for you for the most
Hmm.
part. Um, and then I mean, I also just started, looking at LinkedIn and Ada and
Hmm.
just seeing what positions were out there.
Yeah.
Um, and I started applying. I think in terms of applying through like those job applications,
Mm,
you can definitely become, like one in many
yeah.
at that point. But if obviously you can see if people that you know work there, it's always best to like ask them about it,
Hmm.
or see if they have a referral incentive. That's always important too.
Yeah.
Um,
Sounds like you're talking about a product that I'm working on.
it sounds like it.
Sounds like peer to
Yes.
peer.
Yeah, of course, having connections is the best way to do it. But also just, I mean, in this day and age, you just need to apply to anything and everything that is of interest to you because um it's all about numbers at this point. Just
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
also, I mean, it just depends on um it depends on your experience, of course. It's hard for me because I have decent companies on my resume, so
Mhm.
I'm sure that gets me noticed.
Yeah.
But so it's basically like it's important on your resume to highlight those things that you accomplished and the impact that you had.
Yeah.
Um,
For
yeah.
sure. Yeah. I'd love to double click a bit into, I guess, like leveraging your network to look for your next opportunity. I think you've talked about just posting on LinkedIn in general that you're looking. Did you do any kind of one-on-one outreach just to give it an extra boost? Be like, hey, I just want you to know that I'm looking, or was there any sort of like additional effort put in besides saying on LinkedIn that you're, open to your next opportunity?
I obviously have friends, that are
Yeah.
in the and like coworkers,
Mm-hmm.
former coworkers, um, that I would just share, of course, that I was
Mm-hmm.
looking, but um, I haven't had too many situations where it's like, oh, this person I know works at a company that I see is hiring. So reaching out to them specifically. I haven't had a lot of those.
Okay.
But that exists. That is also exists to do that. But
For
I
sure.
basically would tell my, closest networks of people
Yeah.
that I was on the hunt, and they would just tell me if they heard of anything or anything like that.
Yeah. I'm curious for like I know for one of the opportunities that you're kind of in uh that you're kind of working out right now. I know sort of there was, I mean, you obviously know somebody at the company. Did that person reach out to you because they saw the post about you being open to work, or how did that kind of come up?
Yeah. I put on LinkedIn when I was done with my portfolio and um felt like I wanted to share it. It was
Hmm.
also, my portfolio is also like a combination of my other side projects that
Hmm.
I'm interested in as well. But when I was done with like the product design portion of it, I shared it out to everyone on LinkedIn,
Hmm.
and he messaged me
I see.
directly and said that his company was looking for a role, this designer role, and
Hmm.
looked at it, and he connected me with the hiring manager. So that definitely helps when you have like people who are directly connected to the position.
Right. And you and him have worked together before.
Yeah, we worked not like not directly together because he's
Yeah.
a little higher up, but
Hmm.
um he knows my work and the kind of stuff that I work on. So
Yeah. So
that was
he was
helpful.
able to vouch for you in a sense to
Yes.
the current hiring manager.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Um, I guess, are there any lessons that you have learned from this current job search? Like, was there any takeaways that maybe that are new from your previous job searches?
It was definitely different this time in that like I had to The landscape is definitely a lot more competitive right now with all of the layoffs happening. Um, and because this profession, I think, like people are actually, it's like they're going to school for it. Whereas when I started, it was like, that was like, they're basically the people that are in the profession that are, older. Um,
Yeah.
there's no direct path to this profession,
Right.
but it seems like people have more of the opportunity to learn it now. So of course there's
Hmm.
more people interested in it. And with all the layoffs, like I said, it's just a lot more competitive. So
Hmm.
I think trying to make sure that you're tailoring your experience um, to each, to the job description.
Hmm.
Um, and like highlighting the things that you've been able to accomplish. Also, like I said before, like it's all about the numbers. Just
Yeah.
obviously, you can be picky about the places that you're applying to if you want to be.
Hmm.
But I would just apply for as many things as I could. Um, I got a bit overwhelmed with the process, so I made like a spreadsheet to help myself track like all these companies I was talking to,
Hmm.
what kind of positions they were looking for and pay and all of that as well.
Hmm.
Whether or not it was remote or not, that was also important to know.
Hmm.
And I think that there was also like I had to not necessarily, I had to like learn not to take a rejection personally,
Mm.
as I started talking to these companies more, like getting on phone screens
Yeah.
and talking to like hiring managers and things. Like
Hmm.
sometimes it's hard. I'm not used to being told that somebody's not interested just because I
Sure.
haven't had to experience that yet. And so that was just something I had to learn how to, it's like, it's not personal. There's so many other people that are trying to get the same position and they could just have like different experience than what they were looking, or like they're looking for different experience than what you have. So you
Yeah.
just have to be aware of
Absolutely.
that.
It's almost I don't know when they say it's not personal. I mean, in a way, it's not personal, but it's also personal because you,
You just don't fit.
yeah, you just don't fit. But yeah, I liked what you said about kind of just dusting yourself off and moving on because it is a very um, competitive market right now. And so that's probably just the best way to handle it. I mean, even if they don't like you, but there has to be some other place that would be a better fit.
Yeah. I would say it's also important to make sure that for every denial that you get, especially if you're a little further along in the process, just making sure that you ask for feedback. Not all of these companies will give it to you. Some of them have some sort of stipulation that they don't give direct feedback, which is very weird to me, but
Mhm.
always ask because that's just another opportunity for you to tailor your materials, like your presentations and
Mhm.
projects and things like that, to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you mind sharing how many interviews you went through?
Oh my God, a lot.
Is it
I would
like
say,
10s, 20s?
I
And how
would,
long
I
did
mean,
it take you?
I don't know how many actual interviews I went through, but I basically I've talked to at least 10 to 15 companies and got to pretty far along in stages with 6 companies.
Hmm.
Um, and it has probably taken at least 4 weeks.
For each company.
Some are a little faster than others, but just from when I started looking
Hmm.
to at a position now where I have an offer that I feel good about, it took around 4 weeks.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, if
Yeah,
you do like an intro call, then a portfolio review, then an on-site, and then
the process is extensive.
Yes. Yeah.
Having, yeah, the call, usually sometimes there's another call, a presentation, potentially a project.
Hmm.
Some of these have asked for projects, and then of course, like on-sites are like at 2 to 3 additional chats with people, and doing it with that many companies is exhausting, but
Yeah.
you need to, like I said, you need to have the numbers on your side.
I think that's one of the things that we're trying to solve for is hopefully by doing more of these spotlights, we'll be able to get you through the hoops a little faster. So it's not so repetitive and you're actually having meaningful conversations, instead of just, going through the rope of intro call after intro call after intro call after intro call. So
Definitely.
yeah. Awesome. I guess you mentioned earlier that you have your passion project, which is Ashlee Creates. Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah. I mean, Ashley Creates in general was a handle that I started on all of my social medias years ago. Um, just with the idea in mind that I like to create, and the mediums of which I create with are endless.
Hmm.
I'm always exploring others. So I just liked the idea of keeping that open-ended so that Ashley can create lots of things. Um, and within the past year, I've started thinking about like side businesses or projects that I could start that are just things that I'm interested in that have nothing to do with design exactly. But yeah, as a way to like have that outlet. And so one of the things, the reason I started Ashley Creates this year was I've always wanted to do real estate investing and also like get into short-term rentals. And I turned my house
Mhm.
into a short-term rental. And so that's kind of where Ashley Creates started. But I've since wanted to explore doing some remote interior design consulting, also freelance design as well,
Mhm.
and other things that I've been ruminating on, but I have not started yet, just as a catch-all for all the different side things that I'm interested in trying.
Nice. So if people have some interior design or some freelance design project, they can hit you up.
Yes, definitely. I would love to help with interior design projects whenever possible. And then of course, I'm available for freelance as well. Very minimal hours, but I'm available.
That's awesome. Um, I think this is all that we have time for today. Thank you so much, Ashlee, for joining us. If you want to get in touch with Ashlee and see more of her freelance design and interior design projects, her link is included below. And please say hi to her on peer to peer. And thank you for watching this episode. Thank you, Ashlee, for joining us.
Thank you.